Welcome to No BS, the gaming news podcast where we ditch sugarcoating and give it to you straight. I'm Blake.
And I'm Steve.
And if you're looking for real talk without the BS, you've come to the right place. Before we jump in, don't forget to stay connected with us. Follow us on X at No BS Podcast GG for all the latest updates and hot takes. Check out our YouTube channel, No BS Podcast GG, and be sure to hit that subscribe button. Love what you're hearing? Show your support by liking this episode, dropping a comment with your thoughts, and subscribing to keep up with all our future content. Your engagement helps us bring up more of the No BS talk that you love. All right, let's cut to the BS and get into today's episode. All right, so welcome everyone to episode 4 of the No BS podcast. It's been a pretty good week this week, and I'm looking forward to sharing some news with you all. So, with the amount of games that have come out, Steve, what have you been playing recently?
I've kind of been absorbed by World of Warcraft, and I think you're in a very similar boat with the new expansion kind of just coming out and really just trying to figure out what I want to play in the game. There's just so many different variations now that you can play. I've just been having a lot of fun just leveling and playing my tune. What about you?
Yeah, so I've been the same thing. I played a little bit of Fortnite still. I mean, I can't like not play it, but yeah, definitely World of Warcraft has consumed probably like 95% of my time. I said last week we were talking about I had the early access, so I kind of had the opportunity to level up quite a few. So I got like 4 or 5 characters max level right now, and I'm still just kind of absorbing everything. I know like the first season of like the mythics and stuff like that don't start here until like the 10th. So right now we're kind of in like a limbo of just like running dungeons to try to get the max item level before hopping into that. But it's cool. I mean, this was like the first WoW expansion in a long time that I was actually like really hyped to play, and like I can't get enough of it. It's been real fun, you know. So other than that, yeah, that's been about it. So let's figure we get into the first segment. So according to mpfirst.com, the Baldur's Gate 3 dev, they think that games should cost more at a base price, and there's talks of the GTA price raising up over $70. Now, I'm kind of mixed on that because you have Star Wars Outlaw that just came out, so that had a base price of $70, but it also had a $20 DLC and a $40 season pass, which would have brought your total up to $130, which was pretty much the same as like their highest tier game. And the thing is, I know we kind of talked about this a little bit. It was like, you know, with these higher prices, like I'm okay paying a premium price for a game, but the game needs to be premium if that's the case. Like Star Wars was given a 7 by IGN, and after reading reviews, like they're extremely skewed and extremely mixed, you know, and then even going as far as like a lot of the reviewers question the authenticity of other reviewers, and their biggest gripe about the game is that it's just boring and bland, and it's not a $70 game. You know, it feels like it's supposed to be an open world game, and you're railroaded. And what you can do is, you go to these areas, and there's really only like a few objects or like NPCs that you actually can like interact with. So I don't know how I feel about increasing that price. You know, like I said, if you're gonna do it, it needs to be, you know, a $70, $80 game. You know, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually on kind of like the opposite side of the spectrum in terms of that. Like you mentioned, AAA gaming has been something that was kind of created with all these big entities kind of dropping these expensive games, and I mean, realistically, games have been the same price since 2005. So the price point of games being $60 launched with the Xbox 360 and PS3 in 2005, and the price has remained $60 throughout, even with inflation, and the price to produce a game has increased exponentially. You have the complexity of building a game is higher, salaries are a lot higher, and then there's a lot more that's kind of thrown into it, whether it's character acting. So now you have to get that, and you have to figure out how to make that work, pay the actors, pay the writers. There's a lot that kind of goes into it. So I'm perfectly fine with them kind of increasing the price point to 70, but like you said, it does have to kind of be worth it.
Well,
It kind of comes to the point where, like, if you have a game that's $70, you expect $70 worth of content. And kind of like
Yeah.
you stated, a lot of people have had very mixed feelings in terms of this game. For me, like this game looks like it's like right up my alley. It's the type of games that I love.
Yeah.
I love Uncharted. I love Assassin's Creed. It's like getting the opportunity to kind of mix both gameplays into one is great. But yeah, like you said, there's the combat looks stale. You only really have your blaster. Anytime you pick up a new weapon, you're kind of only able to use that weapon for a couple until the ammo runs out, and then it's done. Um, so again, like I'm for it, but
Well, you were
like you
also a
said,
fan of like Assassin's Creed, so like you're pretty well versed. You're kind of you like the whole stealthy kind of sneak around games, right?
yeah, I used to play a lot of Splinter Cell. I actually had the Splinter Cell game on mobile. I think I paid
Uh-huh.
like $10-15 for it, and I spent probably like 60-70 hours on this mobile game like back in 2006. So you can imagine like the type of gameplay that this was.
Yeah.
But I
Tom
but I
Clancy
loved it.
Splinter
And
Cell. I forgot all
yeah,
about
like
that. Yeah.
I love Far Cry. So I love like Ubisoft just makes has made so many good games. And for me, I had such high hopes for this when I heard it's the team behind the Division. The Division 2 is making this game. So I thought it was going to be this super cool combat with great graphics. And again, like I will probably still end up buying the game, but I'm definitely going to wait for it to be on sale.
Yeah, I don't think at that $70 price point it's worth picking up. So
And don't get me wrong, I've paid 60-70 dollars for a game that I just didn't enjoy. And I think that's one of the benefits of having platforms like Steam, where you can buy a game, and if you don't like it within a couple hours, you can
yeah,
return it,
oh yeah.
which is great. Which kind of sucks that this game isn't on Steam, because I guarantee you it probably would have had a bunch of returns, and maybe they did that on purpose.
Yeah, probably. So speaking of Steam and returns on the game, I'm sure you've heard about Concord. So I was kind of I don't want to say I was into the hype of it. It looked cool. It looked good. We were talking about the whole microtransactions and how like I would be okay with games putting out a little being a little more expensive as long as it included everything. So Concord came out with like a $40 price tag, and it's actually been like the biggest flop of a video game this year. So like on Steam, man, its all-time peak current players hit a total of like not even 700 players, and that's at all-time peak. So I think it is like an overall player base. There's only been like 3,000 on Steam. Now they can't really. I know Sony or PlayStation. They don't give you access to those numbers, but I doubt that it would be much higher than that. And it's only sitting on Steam between 1 to 300 people at peak. And what's funny is one of the developers, was on X talking about how he's so proud of his team. He's very proud of this game that they put out, and right afterward, everybody started bashing him about the game, and then this same developer ended up going on like a tirade, basically saying that anybody who didn't like the game, they were talentless freaks. He started hiding replies from people and saying that he would charge them $8 to unhide it. So it was like, I mean, yeah, you can be proud of it, but like, I mean, you need to know like when your game's just not good, right? Like, it almost seems like too much of like an ego. And like the biggest gripe about it, I guess, was just that the game just came out at like the wrong time. I mean, we have so many hero shooters that, and I guess like the game was in development for quite a while, and they actually wanted to like put it out like a couple years ago, and it just never did. And they did it now, and like you say, you got Overwatch and other hero shooters that are coming at a free to play price tag. You can't compete with that.
I think this is a perfect example of when gaming companies they take too much out of the data that they're collecting, and this is a perfect, like you said, a perfect example of this, where it's the development of this game I think started a couple days after Overwatch was released, they saw the success that Blizzard had, and they were immediately like, okay, let's do that. Let's make a game exactly like this. And you saw as soon as Overwatch was released, all the different copycats that kind of just started coming out in
Like
terms of the
Paladins.
hero. Well, yeah, Paladins and a bunch of. I think Apex was very similar as well. Um, but you definitely saw that, and it's like Sony kind of took a gamble by purchasing this and then continuing to put money into it so it could get developed. But like you said, it's just a little bit too late. They kind of came into a niche that was already oversaturated. And
Yeah.
one, you have games that are free to play that are just better. With, I mean, I'd rather play Overwatch. I'd rather play Deadlock. I'd rather play the Marvel game that's coming out. Marvel Rivals, I believe, is the name of it.
Well, would you have been
Like that
cool
could-
with Overwatch having a $40 price tag on it if it would have meant that you got all those? Because we were talking about like the battle pass last week, right? About how they had certain heroes locked behind the battle pass. If Overwatch had that $40 price tag, right, but you get all future champions, all skins, all whatever, would you have been still inclined to buy it, or would you have been like, I'm not gonna pay $40 for this game?
I mean, I paid $40. I paid whatever $60-$70 for Overwatch when it first came out.
Yeah.
So I bought the game 3 times. I bought it on PlayStation, I bought it on PC, and then I bought a third account. So I mean, again, like I'm not opposed to spending money on a game, especially that I enjoy. I think some of the biggest critiques for this game that I've seen has just been the gameplay just isn't fun. It's just super slow. Like people feel like they're playing Overwatch, but you're like stuck in molasses. So everything is just slow. The characters are clunky, and they just don't understand what's going on.
Well, if there's something I've learned though with like shooters nowadays, like it has to be fast paced, right? You can't, like you said, can't feel like the slow paced gameplay because the attention span of the people playing it is so freaking, short.
You also can't be too fast. I think we're kind of seeing it right now with Call of Duty with their Omni movement. You have a lot of people like I was watching a video of Tim the Tatman. He was playing it on PC and he was just like, I can't do this. Like if I'm gonna play this game, I have to play on controller just because the movement is just so crazy. And
Yeah.
again, it's one of those things. It's like, where do you find that perfect balance of what you want to do?
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe if they get a second chance, maybe they'll put out they'll take this critique and because like I think Overwatch 2 is better than Overwatch 1.
No,
No?
I mean, again, I'm biased because I felt like Overwatch during its heyday was the best game out there for whatever the two-year run it had. I loved Overwatch. I was completely obsessed with the game. I was deeply involved in the esports scene and talking with people that were playing in contenders and people that were kind of aspiring to play in the Overwatch League. And then again, those big, I think Overwatch was the first game for me that kind of got me into the whole esports scene, and getting a chance to see some of those games live was pretty crazy.
Yeah, no, you're the one that got me to buy Overwatch at first too, because I'd never even heard of it. And you're like, yeah, man, you need to hop on this game and try it. And, I mean, it was fun,
And the thing I think that and kind of wrapping this up, just last thing, the thing I think that kind of separates Overwatch and Concord too, it's I think Overwatch does a good job of telling you about their characters and giving you some of that personality and letting you connect with the characters, versus Concord didn't really do a whole lot of that. They kind of just threw you in there, and they say they're going to release cinematics on like a weekly basis, but it's kind of too late at this point.
Yeah,
people already dislike the game, and they're not going to want to play a game and get sucked into these characters when they already dislike the game.
Yeah, but Blizzard has a history of doing a good job though with character drawing you into them. So maybe it's just a difference of developer. Maybe if Blizzard made, a new one, it would have been better, taken. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Blizzard does a good job at releasing games. They just do a terrible job at supporting them.
Yeah. So speaking of the sequels, man, there was an article put out by Games Raider that said basically sequels rule because that's when the devs can make the game they want. So I kind of agree. I'm mixed on that, but I'm leaning more towards agreeing with it because there are like a lot of these games, like their first time that they're being developed. I feel like they're kind of pigeonholed into being developed like a certain way, and if the game is a success and they're able to make that sequel, I feel like that's when they can really put their personality and into the game and put out the game that they really wanted to do first. So just real quick, I wanted to mention some games according to some polls online that they thought were better than the original. So you got Assassin's Creed 2, Red Dead Redemption, Halo 2, and Mass Effect are amongst those. And I got to say, I kind of agree with those. A lot of those are all better. The only one that's kind of controversial is probably Mass Effect 2, because I know there's a big community besides Mass Effect 1. So what's your opinion on that? You think sequels are better than the original, or do you think like not everybody should make a sequel?
I think I kind of agree, but at the same time, I disagree to an extent. I get it where developers are, especially if it's a new developer. I would say if it's a new developer, it definitely makes sense where usually the second game is better because when the first game comes out, more than likely no one knows anything about this game, and if it does really well, then they're probably going to get more money from investors or from whoever it is, or maybe some other publisher will pick them up and give them a bigger budget to really make a game that they want to make. Like you said, sometimes they're pigeonholed and they're stuck because it's like, oh, we just don't have enough money
Yeah.
to do what we want to do. But
Yeah.
we really have a good plan and set. It's just can't do it financially.
I guess that actually does like make a lot of sense, right? Yeah, like if you don't have the money and you really can't do everything you want to do.
Yeah.
So there are some games I want to mention I think that are actually better than the sequel. So I kind of have down like Skate, if you remember the original Skate game, Saints Row, and BioShock. Do you have any games you think that the original is probably better than their sequels?
Uh I mean, realistically, no. I mean, most of the games I'm very much like uh, I'm very open to consuming the games differently. Um,
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, it's hard.
yeah,
It's hard to think of a lot of originals that were better than the sequel because, like you said, a lot of those sequels like they got more money to put into it, so they just end up becoming better. So speaking of sequels, man, so Sega had asked fans of the game Yakuza Like a Dragon if they wanted celebrities like Keanu Reeves, The Rock, Mark Hamill in the game in the future games. So I've never really played this game, so can you kind of like just give like a brief description of the game and like all that?
it's so this is it's like a classic JRPG where it's very focused on the story. You get just immersed into the life of the character that you're playing. Um, and combat like we were kind of talking about it, it's very similar to I guess to explain it to you that's never really played a turn-based JRPG. It's like imagine you're playing Pokemon. You select your move set. You can select items, but when you use an item, it forfeits your attack. You have attacks, you have defensives, you have heals, and it's really just that. Like, but Yakuza I think does it way different than any other RPG that I've ever played. Where
Yeah.
it's just there's so many mini games, and you can just get sucked into these mini games that I've spent longer playing some of the mini games in this game than I
Than the
have
actual.
than the actual game. Like it's crazy.
Well, you
Like
were
whether it's
saying about you
just
think it might be game of the year, right?
yeah, it's just I haven't played the newest version, but I played the one that came out. I think it was 2023, 2022, and it's incredible. Like I said, I spent hours just doing the can pickup or the karaoke or doing the business proposals and
Yeah.
talking to the board. Like it's just so fun and it's funny. I don't know if you watch anime, but it sometimes some of the cutscenes just feels like you're watching just a show at that point.
Well, if it does become game of the year, you guys heard it here first. Steve says it's going to be game of the year. So
It's a close contender for sure, at least for me.
So I actually think it'd be kind of cool, man, if more games included celebrities in them. The only thing that I wouldn't like to see is like imagine like a Halo game, right, where there's a cutscene where Master Chief reveals his face and it's freaking Dwayne the Rock Johnson. Like, I feel like celebs definitely have their place in the games, and it's like I was watching some gameplay of the Yakuza, and maybe like the celebrities being in games are better placed in games like those as like side characters, or things like that. But I know like Keanu Reeves was in what was that game? Oh my god, Cyberpunk. Is like the like a main character. So like I feel like maybe it just depends on the actor, because I mean Keanu Reeves is a freaking BA anyway. So like who doesn't like anything that he touches?
It's so funny too, because it's like I feel like Keanu Reeves is the only person that can, maybe like Ryan Gosling too, that can get away with just playing the same character in every single thing they do.
I mean he really is. And there's maybe been like one movie that he's not.
Yeah, I mean, and some of his older stuff, I think any of his like newer stuff, like post John Wick, he definitely does like the same character in every single role, and it's perfect. It's like you just can't help but enjoy it. Like when he was playing Johnny Silverhand, it was very similar to like John Wick, very like short and same tone, same everything. It's like he has the exact same voice and never changes, but it's perfect.
But that's what people love, right? That's what they want.
But there's definitely games that can do a little bit too much. Like I don't know if you've ever played like Crime Boss Rockade City.
No,
that felt like it was almost just throwing in
too many
celebrities just to try and sell the game. It felt like a Payday. So it's very similar to Payday. Where it's
I played Payday.
Yeah, so it's imagine that, but you have like Danny Trejo, the dude from Sopranos, and a bunch of other people, and like.
Should bring Steve Buscemi into a game.
But it's like it's just that it's all revolved around that. The gameplay was kind of bland, but
Keanu Reeves and Sega. Speaking of those two, man, Sonic the Hedgehog, the trailer for Sonic the Hedgehog 3 just randomly came out, and it's scheduled to release December 20th this year. And again, it has Keanu Reeves in it, who's starring as Shadow. And I'm very hopeful that it doesn't flop. Obviously, Borderlands.
I'm so hyped for this.
I know you were telling me about this because you're saying like the first two were really good, and I've seen the first one. I haven't seen the second one, so I'm really hoping that it's well received and that it does good.
Yeah, it looks incredible, and I think so. I'm not sure if you'd heard, but Jim Carrey basically said he was retired. He retired after the second Sonic, saying this was going to be my last movie ever. Yeah, and I guess when they approached him with the idea and told him, "Hey, we're bringing Shadow, Keanu Reeves is going to be on it," he just jumped on the opportunity to kind of come back and do one more movie, which I think is awesome. I think if you have a movie that's good enough to kind of bring a character out like Jim Carrey, I'm super excited. The trailer, the combat looks better than ever. Shadow looks incredible, and this is one of those these developers that really paid attention to their fans. I don't know if you remember when the first one was being developed and they released a trailer, and people just hated the way.
Yeah, they hated the way he looked. Yeah, no, I remember that. They had to change it instantly, right?
yeah, they changed it. Then they released a new trailer, and people were like, okay, this is pretty cool. I like this. And yeah,
they were going for more of like that realistic, right? They were trying to like make it just too new age. Make them look too real.
Yeah, but again, I'm super hyped for this. I played a little bit of Sonic when I was a kid, but I never got too deep into it. But I've always enjoyed Sonic the character. Knuckles has always been super badass to me. Shadow, same thing. So getting the opportunity to see this, I think is gonna be great. The people they have playing the characters, you just can't ask for anyone better. I think they did a perfect job in casting this.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not going to be no Borderlands.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been a fan of. I played Sonic back in the day on the Sega, so I think this is probably going to be the one movie that I actually am going to go out and watch this year that's game related. Like I said, I was going to watch Borderlands, and then after seeing the reviews, usually I like to wait for the movie to come out first and get a review before I go. So I was like, really glad I didn't go see that. But after seeing the trailer, man, I mean, it looks really good. So it might be one that I go see right away before all the reviews come out. Because then again, sometimes reviews don't really do it justice. But who knows?
Yeah.
So recently they had the esports awards, right? And I guess there was quite a bit of controversy around one of the main awards. So that one was the Streamer of the Year award, and so that went to Samantha Trevino. She's a streamer from, he said, Mexico, and so she was on a list that included streamers like iShowSpeed, Jinxie, and Kai Cenat. And I guess it's like a lot of people, I mean, don't really know who she is. I mean, I was kind of looking at her social. She has like 5 million plus followers on X. I mean, she's pretty big. And I'm wondering if it's just one of those things that, because she's from another country, that like people are like, oh, how does she get it? But like you got like Kai Cenat, dude, pulling in streams of like 20, 30,000 on freaking Twitch. So it's like, how does somebody like that like not win?
I think the thing that people are forgetting is that this is at least this specific category in the esports awards was largely based on user voting. It wasn't the committee voting for this. And I don't know if you saw, but Rivers won it in 2023 as well.
Yeah.
So I wonder if she was just campaigning a lot harder than whether it's Kai or Speed. Like you said, I think Kai is probably the biggest streamer in the world right now, either Kai or Speed.
I mean, he gets freaking Kevin Hart coming on his stream. He's talking to T-Pain and all these other people. I mean, the dude goes like above and beyond. Like I do like Show Speed and Jinxie, but I think like Kai Cenat 100%. I should have had that,
But I don't think they promoted this award whatsoever.
Like, no, I never even heard about it.
I think the reason there is such a big upheaval regarding this is because of the age of Kai and Speed's fans. Most of them are younger, and them, like you were saying, what do you mean? Like these guys get 100K plus viewers regularly.
Yeah,
And Rivers, I mean, still getting 15K average viewers is still that's still a lot, but it's definitely not anywhere near Kai or Speed. But again, I think what she probably did was kind of promote it a lot more versus Speed and Kai they probably didn't even know what was going on realistically.
I mean, they got their chance next year, hopefully. Hopefully they're still around streaming. I mean, I don't see them going anywhere. So kind of want to go over a few of the other categories and kind of see what your take on it. So they had a esports personality of the year, and the winner of that was Scump, and there's some of the bigger names on there too. Was like Nadeshot, Tarek, and Disguised Toast. And I know Scump pretty popular, but I definitely think Nadeshot should have won that. I mean, I feel like he's more well known. I mean, Scump was Optic Gaming and stuff like that, but Nadeshot's been around before Scump. So I thought, definitely he's the one that I feel like he should have taken that home this year.
Yeah, and I'm not super big into the esports scene anymore. But again, I like you said, I think Nadeshot is kind of synonymous with esports. Scump as well. I mean, Scump being I think arguably one of the better Call of Duty players of all time.
Yeah,
I've barely seen any of his content realistically, but I definitely see a lot of Nadeshot TikToks.
Yeah, that's what I see him a lot on too. Yeah,
I think I definitely see a lot more of him. So for me, it's either. I mean, I'm fine with whoever won for this one.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I can respect that. So then they had the esports content group of the year, and the winner of that was Seoul Esports, and they're out of India. And on that list, I want to mention they had G2 and Fnatic. I've never even heard of Seoul Esports. Maybe that's just because they're out of India. but I have heard of G2 and Fnatic, and I know that they do put a lot of content out there, so that kind of surprised me. But like knowing, again, like I said, this, I don't know like how well advertised all this stuff was, but
I mean, this is based off. So all these are based off committee voting. But you also had like T1, which is Faker's group, Offline TV,
Yeah.
which is a Disguised Toast group with Skara and a bunch of other big streamers. But I think it just goes to show you how big the world is and how big gaming is starting to become all over the world.
yeah,
Where
it's
you
no
have
longer just like the
Seoul-
United States. You know, it's everywhere.
Yeah, and India's huge. Like India has billions of people in that one small space. It's probably the size of the US, maybe like a little bit bigger, but still it's like a billion plus people. I don't know what the number is at for India, but I'm sure it's like 2-3 billion now.
I was
And
definitely up there. Yeah.
and gaming has just blown up in those areas. Mostly mobile gaming, just because of the ease of entry. It's cheaper,
Yeah.
and you can usually play some pretty fun and engaging games on your mobile now. But yeah, these people are huge.
Well, like I think a good sign too to know like how big esports and gaming in general is getting is like we talked, I think our first or second episode about how esports are coming to the freaking Olympics, and you can't have an Olympic sport that's not popular in all these different countries. So it's very interesting. I think it's a crazy freaking time to be alive to experience this, because I don't know about you, Steve, but like when I was a kid, when I used to play video games, man, I wanted to go pro. Man, I wanted to play them competitively, and it was no, go to college, go get a normal job. So like to see that it's this popular, that it's becoming this well known around the globe is just like astonishing. And it's like if only people would have taken it seriously back in the day. Who knows where it'd be now. And who knows what the future holds with it too.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that this was in people's thoughts back then, when like my parents used to yell at me and say, "You're just wasting time playing video games. Like, why are you on the computer so much?" And again, like everything is revolved around the internet, and I think gaming is just such a big piece of the internet. Like I think I've learned so much through gaming, and I think we talk about this all the time, but yeah, gaming is in such a great place right now, and I love it.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely, man. I love gaming, and I'm like I said, super excited to see where it goes in the future. So speaking of these games, so esports game of the year. Now this is kind of a shock to me. The winner was Valorant. Now some of the contenders were League of Legends, Apex, Rainbow Six Siege, CS2, and Rocket League. Now I was kind of surprised I didn't see Fortnite up on there, especially considering that Apex is on there and it's pretty much the same thing. But I don't know how I feel about Valorant winning. I definitely thought like maybe League of Legends would have been, League of Legends or maybe CS2 should have won the esports game of the year.
Oh, I kind of disagree. I think Valorant is the biggest game in the world right now. It's huge. Like if you look at any of these kind of aspiring esports players, like schools or have like high schools have esports teams now, and some of the games that they're playing, at least the more popular game that they're playing, is usually Valorant or Rocket League. And I think a lot of it has to do with free to play, which is great. It coming to console, I think, exposed it to a different audience as well. It's just bigger than ever.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've played it. It just reminds me too much of like Counter Strike, but it's like more cartoony. Granted, you have like special abilities and stuff like that, but I don't know. Maybe again I'm biased, and I just kind of played more Counter Strike than it, or League, in League of Legends. But so now on to we were just talking about mobile gaming. So there's a mobile esports game of the year, and it's kind of not a surprise that the winner was Mobile Legends. Some good other games that were on there were like Brawl Stars, Clash Royale, and PUBG Mobile. I've played Brawl Stars and Clash Royale, and I've kind of played a game or two of Mobile Legends. So, but I mean, it really doesn't surprise me that they were the winner with that one.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like we were talking about earlier, mobile gaming is crazy now. Kind of touching back to when I was talking about Splinter Cell and how I would play that on a cell phone back in like 2006, 2007, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And to think like I probably wouldn't even be able to begin to imagine what you can do with a phone nowadays. Phones are basically mini computers, and some of these games are incredible. Like I've seen people play Call of Duty, and it looks like you're playing almost like on a Switch. Like that's how good it looks.
Yeah,
Uh,
they've definitely come up in terms of how well these games are developed now.
yeah, it's like I think when I if you were to tell me like mobile games, Clash Royale kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But it's like thinking of like, oh, I'm playing a MOBA on my cell phone. You have two MOBAs on there with Pokemon Unite and Mobile Legends, and I
Yeah.
mean maybe some of these other ones are MOBAs too. But then you have shooters like PUBG and Call of Duty that are, I mean, just crazy hectic shooters. Especially Call of Duty. Like I can only imagine playing Call of Duty on mobile. I think that
Well,
must be insane.
it's funny about that too, because I got a buddy at work who says while he's sitting there at a stop, he'll sit there and play a game of PUBG Mobile, and I'm like, I didn't even realize like it was that popular. Or like, I mean, I knew about like Clash Royale and Brawl Stars just because, like I said, I've played them, but I didn't realize that like Call of Duty Mobile and PUBG were like that big.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool to see. So this next category, we were actually listening to the song last night. So they had esports content of the year. So the winner was a song called "Gods" by New Jeans, and it was it is an animated music video. And it has like Faker in it and a couple other League of Legends players, and it was actually the League of Legends anthem. So I actually thought it was pretty good. Some honorable mentions for that. There was "Think Like a Pro," Valorant content, and then the G2 Esports and MasterCard Gamer Academy. Now, I would have thought that content like that, like Think Like a Pro and Gamer Academy would have been more popular than a song, but like again, I think League of Legends is like the most played game. So I guess it really doesn't surprise me that something that revolves around them was the winner.
Yeah, and the song is actually pretty good. I mean,
Yeah, it was pretty catchy.
granted, most of the times I've heard it is like scrolling through TikTok and seeing like Faker edits and and all this
Dude,
other
Faker
stuff.
is League of Legends, man. He's
Like,
everywhere.
I don't even play League, but the amount of League
Him.
content that I get in my feed is crazy, and it's just because the esports scene I think League is the biggest you can get. I mean, Dota is probably just as big, but League is huge, and it's crazy because I don't know if you got a chance to watch all the awards, but Riot basically swept every category that it was nominated for, and for one company to just do esports so well is insane. I feel like
Yeah.
everything Riot touches, they just have they're building a game that's centered around esports, and that's their thought process. It's like we're gonna make this game and we're gonna have a bunch of people compete in it, and that's how we're gonna continue to grow the game because people are gonna see these people compete and they're gonna want to start playing it, and they're gonna want to be aimed to be up there, kind of like how you watch someone play baseball or play basketball, and you're like, I want to do that.
Well, what I think Riot does a really good job of is like you have a game like League of Legends, right? You have 4 abilities, 2 summoners, and like on the outside looking in, it looks so simple, right? But when you add in how there's like, God, I don't even know how many champions there are now, and like every ability, interacts a different way with every person, kind of thing, and like you have to know pretty much everybody else's abilities. Like you would think for a game that has 4 abilities, wouldn't be as complex as it is. And I think that's what makes it so good and such a good esports game is that it is so easy for somebody to hop into it and play, but it's extremely hard to master it. So like it's a game you hop into, and it caters to all these new players. It's so easy to hop into it. But like I said, what separates the new players, the bronze players from the challengers is the knowledge and just like how complex these four ability champions can be. It's cool. It makes you kind of wish more games would take on that look of like, let's dumb it down, let's make it a little simpler of a game, but again, that way anybody can hop in and play.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So that was pretty much it for all the awards going on. So I want to talk about some new releases coming up. So we got Warhammer 40,000. So that's normally going to be its actual release is on all platforms on September 9th. And then if you purchase the gold edition, which is $89.99, or the ultra of $99.99, you actually get it on the 6th. And you were telling me that you pre-purchased it and you're ready to play it.
I'm ready to go. I'm very hyped for this game. When I first saw it was being released, and I kind of dug into what the game was going to be like. I was very excited. It was kind of right off the coattails of Helldivers, and you saw the success that Helldivers had, and getting the ability to play something similar to Helldivers, but with the lore and the gameplay that Warhammer kind of brings in. I think is just going to be incredible. Like seeing some of the hordes where you have like thousands of minions just coming at you and you're just shooting through them. They're going to have PvP. They're going to have constant updates. Almost unlimited types of customizations. I really love Warhammer games. I've played a lot of Vermintide. I've played a lot of Total War, and I've enjoyed every single one of them. Just spending hours and hours playing it. So.
You keep telling me I need to buy this game. This is like the one game you've recommended me probably the most. Is like you need to pick up Warhammer.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's like one of their older entities, like I said, if you get Vermintide 2, like that game's so fun. It's just endless hordes of just doing missions, and then you go through, and it gets harder and harder. It's a very
Gear
fun.
of War.
Yeah. It's going to be a similar playstyle, almost like, I don't know if you remember like Horde mode on Gears of War.
Yep.
It's going to be similar playstyle to that. The looks, it looks very similar to Gears of War. It feels very Gears of War like, and I'm super curious to see how the PvP is going to be. But should be a blast.
So that one's definitely up on my list of checking out. We got Harry Potter Quidditch Champions coming out September 3rd, and you were saying it actually doesn't look that good. So that's coming out on all platforms, including the Switch. So what are you gonna say?
Yeah, I played the closed beta, and it was, I mean, it was fun, but again, it's I just don't foresee it being something that's gonna be very long lasting. The game gets at least a couple games that I played, it got stale pretty quickly.
Yeah,
gameplay's very simplistic, and I just don't see myself enjoying that game for
I feel
a
like
long
it's
time.
one of those games that you get get a little kid to play to kind of shut them up and on like a long car ride, let's throw let's let you play Harry Potter Quidditch and play it. I always thought that they should have had a Quidditch game. I played the was it Harry Potter was it Legacy, and I was like, man, it'd be really cool to really like play Quidditch against other players. So
yeah, I would have much rather if they had let you play Quidditch in Hogwarts Legacy than a standalone,
a whole
game.
separate game. Yeah. Oh, 100%, dude. So the other game, and this is another one you tell me I need to get, is Age of Mythology. That's coming out on September 4th on all platforms.
I love I love this game. I love this franchise. I mean, like we were talking about the other day, Age of Mythology is what got me into PC gaming.
You talked about this for like 20 minutes straight about like how you like, man, I didn't even realize it was coming out. You knew it was coming out, but you didn't realize it was like already here.
Yeah. When I saw it, I wishlisted instantly, and I saw this was coming out. I was like, "Oh, holy crap!" Even if I can't get my friends to play it, I'm still gonna play the campaign, play by myself. Maybe dive into some online gameplay. I definitely will get smoked playing against real players, just because I'm not very APM centric.
You're old, just admit it.
I move very slow on the computer, and this is one of those games where it's like the faster you go, the better you're going to be.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you've ever played like Age of Empires or StarCraft.
Yeah,
or
I played
any other
StarCraft. Yeah.
So it's very similar to that play style. It's just I was a huge Greek mythology like nerd when I was growing up. So when I saw this game was like perfect for me because you get to play as like worshippers of a specific god, and depending on which god you're worshiping, you get their powers as you level up. And I used to always love playing Hades in the first one because you could create like the portal to the underworld and put one portal on one side and one portal on the other side, and
Yeah.
all your people would just instantly transport to the other side. So you could build up your army, send like a sacrificial lamb to go out there, get close to your enemy's base, and just build a portal inside their base, and you would just instantly go inside, and you could just wreak havoc.
Well, I mean, if you're looking for a game to send me, that's definitely the one. So, I wanted to mention here too some games on Steam that are on sale that I think you guys all should check out. So I've seen a lot of videos on TikTok about this game. I actually called It Takes Two, and I really wanted to get Megan, my wife, I wanted to buy this so we could play it together. So that's on sale right now, 70% off. Yeah, it's coming in at $11.99 right now.
It's super fun. It's a super fun.
The videos look freaking. It looks like it'd be so fun to play with like a friend, or like I said, your kid or your wife, or like I said, or a friend. We played like the Unchained together, and I think we would have some fun playing this one too.
Yeah, if you enjoy games like Portal, this is like right up your alley. It's so fun.
Yeah, so then we got Chivalry 2 coming in at $9.99, 75% off, and then the other game that I thought that is pretty good, that's worth picking up if you're interested, is Arc 2 is 33% off, so that price is coming in at $30.14. So if you're looking for a new game to buy that's on sale and you don't want to pay that, $50-$60, those are some games I highly suggest that you guys check out. So I think that's it for today's episode of No BS, you guys. If you enjoyed the unfiltered conversations, make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube at No BS Podcast GG. And don't forget to connect with us on X at No BS Podcast GG for all the latest updates and more. We appreciate you listening, and we'll be back next week with more straight talk. No BS.